Hi, you're with Steve Harper and Donna Carlin with Inquiring Minds. And what we're going to do today is discuss something that really will help shift what it is that you're looking at when it comes to a project, a decision, a choice, whatever it is. And that is, are you counting down or are you counting up?
I like that. I love this thought process. So the baseline, Donna, where does this come from? Because when you first put it in front of me, I was like, ooh, that's a really intriguing perspective, not one that I had considered.
I can't tell you how many people come to me, entrepreneurs, people who want to start their own businesses. One day I'm going to do this, or next year when I have all my ducks in a row, this is what's going to happen, which is countdown. Countdown to when I'm going to press the let's go button.
Yep.
And half the time that moves, right? Because of circumstance, life, like who knew we were going to be in the middle of a pandemic, that kind of thing. The other thing is counting up. Today is day one. And every day I'm going to build on that day one. I'm going to just draw a line in the sand and start, do, act, whatever it is. And, let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to
Yep.
make it better every single day. That's where this comes from.
So based on your own life or your own career goals and ambitions, which one do you do?
Oh, I always dive into the deep end of every day. You know what?
Shocker.
One thing I could tell you, and I was thinking about this when I was talking to our kids, no regrets, ever, ever. I have embarked on careers that everybody told me there's no way a female could do this, or there's no way you will ever get this position, that kind of thing. And I looked at them and I said, thank you for your input. And I
Yep.
just went and did it anyway. No regrets,
Yep.
really. I really do dive in. If I think that something needs to get done, or I want to try a new project, or work with a client in a different way, I say to them, hey, how about being my guinea pig? And we're going to go someplace that nobody has gone before. They love it because they know they're partnering with me and co-creating what we're going to do. And we have these kinds of conversations that just light a fire inside us. I'm not going to wait till one day.
Who has
No
time for
way.
that, right? At the end of the day, right? But how many of us live in that mindset, right? Yeah, one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to change careers. One day I'm going to start that business. One day I'm going to go seek funding and try and get this thing to really take off. One day, one day, one day, and one day becomes never, And I think that that becomes sort of the default behavior for a lot of folks. And you fall into that, it becomes a habit, not just in the big things, but also the little things, right? And so you're not living in the moment, and you're living with probably much regret in that way, right?
That's it. We talked about that in the last segment. Are you going to live with regret for the rest of your life? You're talking to somebody who's a 2-time cancer survivor and a survivor of getting hit by a tornado. Not me personally, but the house I was actually in at the time. So those are 3 things: finished with the tornado and the rebuild and the cancer and all that. And then we're hit by a pandemic. So I figure I'm not waiting for the world to be perfect, because
It never
we
is.
think that we have control. A little secret: we have no control over our lives. We think we do, and we have wishes and dreams and goals and all that stuff. We need to be able to dance with whatever is thrown at us, regardless of the rest, and really take a deep dive into the deep end of whatever we want to be doing.
So let me ask you, was there a turnaround in your life at some point where maybe your thinking was different than that, and you just sort of had this epiphany and woke up one morning, after you've survived cancer twice, or you've had this major event hit your house? Or was that sort of part of your DNA pretty early in your career?
It was even in my DNA before that, because my first career, I was a percussionist with the National Arts Center Orchestra. And that was my lifelong dream. I wanted to be in a world-class orchestra. And then when my son was born, he had major medical issues. I had to give up that position. And I went into coaching psychology. So if you look at, having your dream come true, and you could either fight what life brings you, or you could embrace it. And 38 years later, believe it or not, I'm believing that this is exactly what I should have been doing all along.
Yep.
So I think to dance with whatever is thrown at you, because my late colleague used to say, opportunities don't knock, they whisper, so shut up and listen. As when I was a percussionist with the National Arts Center Orchestra, that was my dream.
Yep.
And when my son was born, I had taken a leave of absence, I guess, when I was about 8 months pregnant, because he was kicking in the wrong beat, don't ask. So I couldn't go back because he needed some major medical care for the next 19 years, actually. And I became a coaching psychologist in order to help him and other patients who were dealing with this at the time, and realized this was my calling. This is where I should have been, like way back when. Yep. And it's either taking what life dishes at you and fighting it and being angry about it, or saying, what could I do with this that I could build on, use as a foundation, and fly with?
I love
so,
that.
When it comes to you counting down or are you counting up? How do you look at that for yourself?
For myself, it's an interesting perspective, because I had never ever considered it the way that you put it forward in today's topic. And I really like it, because I think to a certain degree on a lot of things in my life, until I'd say before I hit the age of 40, I think I was counting down one day, if I just got enough money, if I could just have this much luck happen to me, if I won the lottery, I didn't have a tornado hit my house, whatever. One day I will eventually have, all conditions will be perfect and things are going to work the way they are. And they should. And the reality is that one day just never comes, right? And so you have to make that one day your day. And you have to figure out that you have to change that perspective, and you have to start to take a more authentic and proactive approach to living your life the best way that you can. And I think part of that is, yes, you're right, life comes at us. It sometimes doesn't always just come in the way that we expect it, and circumstances shift. The rules of the game are always ever changing. And the earlier that you can learn that and understand it and adapt to it, the more that you end up becoming in more control. And so my perspective has really dramatically shifted. Although I don't think you and I've actually had this specific conversation. We've had conversations that dance around it in our previous interactions. And you have always kind of gotten my thinking about, where are you going? Not where you are right now. Where are you going, and what's it going to take you to get there? And so stopping and reflecting where you are and what's not working and what you need to do in order to change it to make it work is a really conscious step that you have to take in order to make any real meaningful progress. So you have to start to count up and look for what's next. How am I going to tackle it? What am I going to do to make it happen?
I'm going to invite everyone to eliminate some words from their vocabulary. The first is when, then. So when this happens, then. So it's a reactive kind of thing. I'm making my choice based on something I've absolutely no control over. Does that make any sense? Seriously?
Yep.
The second is to stop shooting themselves to death. I should be doing this. I should be thinking this. I should. No, don't should yourself, and don't should other people. Get rid of that word.
Yep.
Should. It's, that is key. So I really appreciate you looking from the perspective of where are you now? So reverse engineering, in other words, and what do you need to change to get to where you want? If you think about it, Steve, you're doing it with a ripple effect. You're inviting people to look at all their choices, all their words, all their actions in the context of, how does it impact everyone around you, you included?
Yep.
That process, that perspective is incredibly powerful, because you're asking people to look at themselves in the context of something greater than what they are and who they are. So look at it from that perspective, counting down or counting up. If I wait for another time to make an impact on somebody or to do something that has a ripple effect, I might not be there by the time I get around to it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, thank you for that, and I appreciate that acknowledgement. I'll throw one other word that you should eliminate from your vocabulary.
Sure. Yes.
How about but? Nothing good comes after a but.
Way up there. Yeah. The
At the
bed
end
is
of the
way up
day, I
there.
see so many people that are struggling with where they want to go, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. And you ask them, so what's preventing that? Why are you not taking action? Why are you not going and getting more education or surrounding yourself with people that can get you from point A to point B? Why are you not hiring Donna Carlin as your coach to help you take all those things that you're hiding out in the shadows, bringing the light, dusting them off, understanding how to, handle the adversity that you've been dealt or deal with the things that may be trying to create or cause doubt for you to take that next step forward? What is preventing you from doing that? And almost everybody has a already predetermined excuse. Well, if it would only this, but I can't go because of this, or I can't do this, but, I could do this, but I would end up having to do that. And the reality is that but is the excuse. That but is the thing that holds you right there, stuck in neutral, and you'll never go anywhere until you can get around it and you can eliminate it. And those are, your words, that word. It's an excellent place to start, because I think you do have to look at how you language these conversations with other people, but most importantly in here, just like we talked about with our prior episode, in that you have to understand who's in your head and how that's limiting your ability to take the next step.
One of the favorite pieces of work that I do is being a certified Tung Fu trainer. So that's
Tung
words,
Fu?
Tung Fu. So martial arts for the mind and mouth. So how to deal with difficult people without becoming one.
Yep.
And the great thing about that is words to lose and words to use. Words to lose, but, should, whole bunch of them, and how to replace them with words that are engaging, incorporating collaboration, all of that for yourself as well. So that is a beautiful topic. It alone is looking at the words that we use and what we need to get rid of, and who we invite into our lives, including in here, and who we have to get rid of in our lives, because they're just sucking us dry and doubting everything that we do.
Yeah.
So I invite people day one.
I like that.
Not one day.
Yep. Day one. I love that. Well, and what a perfect way to end this conversation. I mean, this is why we're doing these episodes of Inquiring Minds. These are the things that you should be thinking about. However, you might not be. I was going to say, but you're not, but you're not. But I'm learning. See, Tung Fu is working. It's paying attention.
There you go.
Let me ask you a question. If you end up being with a brown belt or black belt, do you have to wrap your tongue when you're going through that class, or how does that work? That would be really unusual.
That's a good question. Well, think about the martial arts. People who are really into martial arts aren't there to beat somebody else up.
That's right.
They're there to avoid conflict. Because they could do a huge amount of harm. And just think of how people do an incredible amount of harm with the words that they use. That cut beyond belief, that people hold on to for so long. There's the ripple effect again. You could choose to ripple whether or not you bring somebody up and lighten up their day, or pull them down to such an extent that that's all that's in their head, to the point where it just damages them in some way, shape, or form. So think about that. It's Tung Fu is really about using words to avoid conflict and invite collaboration.
That's beautiful.
It's kind of cool.
That's why you're a master. Every time we have these conversations, I'm learning something new, and I can't tell you just how grateful I am for the opportunity to have these conversations and to share what we're talking about with the world, because I think the world needs it for sure. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Inquiring Minds. We're excited to bring out more episodes in the near future. But Donna, just really quickly, how can someone get in touch with you, and maybe if there's a topic of interest or a question they'd like us to tackle, how would they get in touch?
Best way is through my portal website, donnacarlin.com, Karlin. And there's a form there. Just let me know what you want us to talk about, or if you have a perspective of what you heard, I would love to hear it.
That's great. And you can
How
contact
about
me.
you?
Yeah, me. I'm at ripplecentral.com, and I'm also on social media at rippleon. And Donna, you are also on Twitter, right?
I am, and it's _shadow coach.
Shadow Coach. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Inquiring Minds. We will be back very soon with another, hopefully, interesting question and conversation to follow. Donna, it's great as always. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Take care.